The Shadow Earl by Stella Riley, performed by Alex Wydham. Stations gradually stopped. Ladies craned their necks or rose from their seats, and some of the dancers nearest the double doors were halting mid-figure. All of them were staring in the same direction, at something Sophia couldn't see due to the people in between. Bit by bit, more and more sets stilled until no one was moving, and realizing this, the orchestra also dwindled to an untidy halt. Suddenly, there was an airless silence, broken only by the soft windsong of the chandeliers. Then, eerily, like the parting of the Red Sea, people fell back, opening a path to whatever or whoever was holding everyone's attention. 3 latecomers had entered the room: Lord Benedict Hawkridge, Baron Wendover, and the Honourable Mr. Shelbourne. They stood a little apart from each other and looked unsmilingly first at Eustace and then at Basil. There was something coldly dangerous in the way they neither moved nor spoke. And then, still in silence, Mr. Shelbourne moved aside, allowing a 4th gentleman to step forward. A tall gentleman in black, a gentleman with tawny gold hair and eyes like frost. Time stopped. The air in Sophia's lungs evaporated, and she froze, paralyzed first by shock and an instant later by the terrible fear that her eyes were deceiving her. Then a spectral gasp broke the hush. Someone said incredulously, "Good God, Hazelmere!" And a sunburst of joy exploded inside her. Kit! Indeed. Christian awarded Eustace an ironic bow. "Good evening, Uncle. I could almost suppose you were expecting me. But of course you weren't, were you?" More silence. Avid eyes swiveled in Eustace's direction. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. The same eyes looked for and found Basil. Like his father's, his face was completely bloodless. In those first seconds, Sophia stood frozen, scarcely breathing and unaware of Basil's grip numbing her fingers. Then her free hand crept to her mouth and she managed to whisper, "Kit." He didn't hear her. As yet he hadn't seen her either. She tried unsuccessfully to drag her hand free of Basil's. He merely stood like a stone, gaping incredulously at his cousin. "Let go of me," she hissed, pushing at him but not letting her gaze stray from Christian. "Let go, now!" He saw her then. She watched it happen, watched something she couldn't identify pass rapidly through those silver eyes, and then, even as Basil finally released his grip, watched him empty his face of all expression and halting her with a bow before she could take more than 2 steps in his direction. "My apologies, Sophie," he said politely. "I am somewhat tardy, am I not? Suffice it to say that the circumstances that delayed me were beyond my control."